Facebook Live. I am Dan Rochon with Rock Solid Coaching, and today I am so freaking pleased to have my friend Wayne Salmans with us. And Wayne, I've been looking so forward to this. Tell us who you are, Wayne.
Dude, I'm looking forward to it. It's been way too long, man. Way too long. Man, I'm just a dude that freaking loves helping other people see their own greatness and like helping them build a path to go get after it. So I love helping people avoid hopefully get where they want to go faster with less bruises. So that's what it's all about. So I'm a guy that's like done all the screwing up, and hopefully I can help some other people avoid a little bit of that. So. Yeah, that's it.
Tell us a little bit about your background. I know that you started off sales in Alaska. You were a realtor 30 under 30. I know that you've done coaching with different companies throughout the years, and I know that you've impacted just so many people's lives. So fill us in on a few things that I missed there.
Yeah, so I did. I went up to Alaska one summer and just stayed, and I just ended up staying for 10 years. But I went up there, got into real estate. I wish I could say it was like super easy in the beginning. Like it wasn't, right? Like it was like people are like, oh, what'd you do? And I'm like, don't do what I did. Like, let me tell you what to do, but don't do what I did exactly in the beginning. It was rough to get started, right? But I got it. Finally got it figured out and started rock and rolling. Like you said, it was one of the 30 under 30 for Realtor Magazine, which is cool. Actually, going to go speak at their reunion next week. And it was awesome, right? We're cranking, selling tons of houses. And then I screwed up my entire life, which was fun. So I literally got my whole personality got caught up in who I look like, right? Selling a bunch of houses, making money, just all the stuff, right? And to the point where I literally had an affair and lost everything, screwed up my entire life, to the point where I'm laying on the floor of this vacant building, getting ready to commit suicide, getting ready to take my own life. And I'm so grateful that in that moment, what struck me was that I had a choice, right? And I don't really know if I knew I had a choice or not, but not that moment I had a choice. Like, you either be a victim and check out, or you realize nobody's coming to save you, and you've got to be your own hero. And that was one of those defining moments for me, right? To realize I've got to get back up. I've got to save myself in this moment. It wasn't that people didn't love or care of me, but I had to do the work. And I made a vow, going through that experience, if I was able to survive this thing, I would get really passionate, and I would help other people go through experiences like this and be able to recover a lot faster, or avoid them altogether. So that's kind of led me on this awesome journey. Then I got back up and did real estate, taught Bold for Keller Williams for 5 years, which was awesome. I freaking loved that experience. And then I was ready to stop being on airplanes every day. My son, I remember one night looked up, he's like, Dad, do you have to get on an airplane again? And I was like, all right, this is the moment, something needs to shift. So got out of that and launched my own company about 2 years ago, and dude, I'm having a blast. So that's it.
Awesome, man. That's quite a journey.
Yeah.
And I think the last time you and I saw each other was at a convention in Dallas, Texas, a couple years ago. Yeah. We had lunch together. So
yep.
Really, really great to reconnect. And so tell me, what has been the biggest thing that you've seen? So you have this life of you've done the business on your own. You had a great deal of success. You had a severe setback, personally, emotionally, spiritually.
Yeah.
And then you got back up and you ran again.
Yeah.
And then since then, you've been coaching for, 7-8 years, something like that, at least, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So how would you describe, from your experience of coaching thousands of agents, what have you seen that would be one common mistake that an agent makes in this business that they could potentially avoid?
So I'll tell you the one I was just on the phone with somebody about 2 seconds ago. So many agents are, we're sold on this thing that you should be everything, right? You got to have all the stuff. You got to be in all the places. And so many agents have I think they have FOMO, right? They're afraid of missing out on something. And so many agents are, here's what I recommend, right? Find 2 or 3 lead sources or pillars or funnels, whatever you want to call them, and nail those 3, and then ignore everything else. which just sounds a lot easier than it actually is. But so many agents, what I see them doing is like, they're trying to be awesome at like 30 different things, right? They're like, I'm going to do open houses, I'm going to do expires, I'm going to do this, like, they got all this stuff. And it's like, dude, just like, no, like, you're going to suck at everything, right? So it's like, you got to pick 3, put blinders on, and like, let's get best in the world at those 3. So like, if everybody did that, that would probably, and they're like, is 3 enough? I'm like, yeah. Because like most businesses that you and I know, like on the inside, right? They might have 15 different sources, but at the end of the day, they've got like 2 or 3 that are bringing in like 90% of their business. Right. And it's like, say no to all that other stuff and get best in the world at 2 or 3 things. So that's off the cuff. That's my advice.
That's great advice. Thank you. What would you say? So on the flip side of that, what would you say that, how would you define success? I'm curious about that.
So it changes about every 6 months, by the way. My most recent definition of success. I think success is living up to my full potential. Right? Like I think it's living up to my full potential, not just in business, but also in my relationships, in how I manage money, in how I take care of my health. I think success is like, if I could be a 10 in this area, and if settling at a 6 isn't success, right? But also, I think you got to balance that with like being thrilled with where you are and really excited about where you're going, right? So it's not like a guilt trip thing, but it's just like, man, I want to be a little bit better tomorrow. So for me, success is like getting a little bit better every single day and going for my full potential, whatever that is.
And I heard you say that that's your full potential in all of the important areas of your life. You know, your personal, professional, spiritual, everything, health.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Huge. And figuring out how do I balance that out? And I think that's I mean, that's super easy, right? Like we just figured that out. Yeah. For two workaholics talking to each other, right? Yeah, we nailed it. Yeah. So, but like, how do you get that in alignment? You know what I mean? And then as soon as you get in alignment, something happens, right? Like you have a baby, somebody goes to college, so it's like it's a consistent process to get that dialed in. So I think it is. Yeah.
What's one word, Wayne, that you would describe that would be one word that would describe where you are today and what you've accomplished? What's one word that comes to mind for that?
Resilient.
Yeah. Resilience.
Yep. Yeah.
When agents ask me the number one quality and characteristics of people that are successful in our business, that's what it is right there, is resilience.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's so far from perfection. And it's just the ability, I think, to get back up and continue to do it. You know what I mean? I think that's it.
What's one of your biggest joys that you take from life?
So I think there's probably 2. One of my biggest joys obviously is my kids. Like I don't know if there's anything better than like, hanging out with my kids and seeing them them light up. I think professionally, my biggest joy now is when somebody gets exposed and they kind of see their greatness at a whole new level, right? So it's like I sometimes I see myself like as a salesperson. My job is like sell people on themselves. You know what I mean? So when they finally kind of get a glimpse of like, man, I could really do this. Like I could lose the weight, or I could become awesome as being a leader, or I could have tough conversations, or I could figure out how to run this team at a new level. Like when they see that they can do it and they start taking those little baby steps, man, I don't think anything lights me up more than seeing that stuff,
Yeah, absolutely. Can you think of a time that you were working, coaching somebody that they were in a situation where they were stuck and then they were able to break through that ceiling of achievement? Can you think of a time that you were able to do that?
Yeah, I mean, probably the conversation that stands out a lot is one that actually I had yesterday with one of my clients. And, she's a mom and her, she works, she runs a real estate team. Her husband runs a construction team, right? So they've got all this free time, right? No, right? Like they're both really, really busy. Plus they've got 4 kids. And we started, we started working. It's like having a whole nother company. We started working together about a year ago. And what's cool is she's done all these things where now here we are like 12, 13 months later, she doesn't work any weekends anymore. She doesn't answer her phone at night. She doesn't answer her phone on the weekends. Like she's helping out with like her son's t-ball team. Like she's finally really, really proud of the mom and the wife she is because of all the work she's done over the last 13 months to help her get in that position. And for me, that is huge. You know what I mean? And one of our first questions was, she goes, I don't know how to do it all. And we had to figure out, okay, how do we do it? And we couldn't even figure out how to do it in 5 days, let alone 7. We said, every week you're going to have something, right? A kid's going to get sick, the school, like something's going to happen almost every week. We got to figure out, how do you hit your goals and continue to grow in the hours you're committed to working 4 days a week. So 4 days a week from like 9 to 3, 9 to 4, you've got to grow and build an incredible real estate company. Like how the heck are we going to do that? Right. So here we are 13 months later, and she's like, I'm so thrilled that I was at my son's t-ball tournament all weekend and I didn't even look at my phone.
That's
right.
awesome.
And it, for me, that lights me up, man. I love that stuff. Right.
What type of strategies did she employ, or did you guys work on for her to be able to get from where she was to where she is?
Yeah. Well, it'd be nice to say there was like one thing, but like how often is ever like, oh, I just did this one thing, and everything. It was a lot of little stuff. Right. I think probably the biggest stuff though is she realized all the stuff she didn't need to be doing. Right. Actually, it's funny. I remember Gary Keller saying that years ago, and he said, most people would be amazed if they realized all the stuff they don't need to be doing. And it took me I'm saying I'm still kind of grasping that, but what I began to realize is how much stuff people are doing that they don't need to be doing. And so we started doing that with her, right? Some of the stuff was like, why are you going to the grocery store? Right? We don't need to do that anymore, right? You haven't delivered. Why are you cleaning your house? Why are you why are you going to get office supplies? Like just, we started getting rid of all these things, leveraging them out, finding out new ways of doing things. How do we do it faster, more effectively? So it was 100 of those little things that began to give that all added up to this incredible life that now she gets to go live. But it was looking at things differently and going, it's not about 5 days a week. It's got to be about 4. What do we do? And just tackling it that way. So
what I heard you say was to identify the things that you could leverage off and just sort of taking them one piece at a time, just taking them off your agenda and then focusing on the things that matter. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. And it was, and here's what I think was a misconception for a lot of realtors is they're looking for like, where am I wasting 3 hours a week? And usually it's not like most of people, especially if you're watching this, you're not wasting 3 hours a week watching cat videos, right? It's like, it's the 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. It's all of those added up, and like all those little things are stealing your dreams. So how do we begin to eliminate all the little sucks that are stealing your time and your energy that don't seem so obvious? And at least a lot of the high achievers that I get to interact with, that's what it is. It's not one big thing that's taking all their time. A lot of times it's a ton of little things we've got to either eliminate, systematize, or give to somebody else.
Sure. So what characteristics do you believe, because I know you've had the privilege of working with many people of all different levels of success. What would you say are the commonalities, the common traits that you would believe that your perception of a successful person, what common traits would they have?
Man, so many. I think if I was going to, zone it down to a couple, I think it would be they're very, just like we were saying, they're very clear on what their commitments are. I think that's the first thing, right? They're very, very clear on their yeses. They've got their 3 funnels dialed in. They know how they're going to take care of those, what the requirement is, and it's in their schedule. I think another one is they're committed to reflection. Like they're committed to going, what's working, what's not working. They're committed to reflecting and finding their blind spots. They're committed to this continual process, not just growth, but reflecting on what's working and what's not working in almost like a savage way, right? And if they find something's not working, they're very quick to take action. They implement. They don't talk about it. They just do it, right? And they implement well. They also realize that they can only usually implement 1 or 2 things at a time. Whereas I see like the average performer or the underperformer is trying to implement 100 things at a time. They're trying to change everything at once instead of choosing one thing at a time. And what is it, like Jim Rohn said, right? Like be a stamp and like stick to something until it gets where it's supposed to go, right? I think that's what high achievers do, right? They go, I got to figure out my follow-up plan. And they literally will spend as long as it takes to get that one thing dialed in before they move to the next thing.
Yeah. That's great advice. what do you do to keep, I mean, because I know that, I know, like, here's who I know about Wayne is that you have such great energy and great passion for what you do. How do you keep that energy up on a day-to-day basis?
It's a lot of Red Bull. It's just a consistent inflow. No, it's a little bit of Red Bull. No,
in the veins.
Yeah. Here we go. Yeah, I got like 8 calls. Here we go. No, I think for me, that's a big thing. Here's what changed my life. Years ago, I remember it was a Saturday morning. You probably heard the story. I'm sitting on the couch, and my wife walked. I've been exhausted. I've been gone all week. Probably got a handful of hours of sleep. Right. And I'm exhausted. My wife walks past me and she goes, you give your best to everybody else and we're left with the rest.
Ooh, that's deep.
And then she just walked away. And it wasn't like a guilt trip. It wasn't like she was trying to hurt me, but I couldn't breathe for a second. And I was really like, I got to figure out how to take care of my energy all the time. I don't have the luxury of having bad days. You know what I mean? So that forced me into the state where I've got to take better responsibility for my life, right? Where I've got to make sure I'm sleeping, make sure that I'm eating. But I think the biggest thing is I have kind of like Tony Robbins talks about all day, all the time, right? I have a routine in the morning I go through that gets me into a great state. And then I have several strategies throughout the day that if I get weird, I can grab one of those strategies and get back to a good place. So it's like I'm very
What are some of those strategies?
So some of the strategies, like in the morning, I'll watch a motivational video while I'm at the gym. I go to the gym. I'll say my affirmations every day. I have a journal that I write down a couple things in it. I write down what are 3 things I'm grateful for. I write down my 3 90-day goals, my 3 big 90-day goals every single morning, and then I write down my 3 musts for that day, right? Just to get my head in the right place. And then if I get weird during the day, I'll go for a 5-minute walk. I'll lay on the floor and meditate for 5 minutes. I'll call somebody and I'll call 1 or 2 people and tell them why I'm grateful for them, and that helps me get out of my funk or whatever you want to call it. So having some of those tools that I can just grab and implement is huge. So and I mean the other thing too is like I've chosen my problems, which is awesome. Like I have big problems all the time. But I love the problems that I get to deal with, and I think that lights me up. Like I chose the problems, and I don't want a life that's problem-free. I want a life where I get to deal with these awesome problems that I've chosen to deal with. And I think happiness is the byproduct of dealing with awesome big problems.
So you're not fearful of problems?
Dude, I love problems. I mean, so let me be like, let's not like unicorn and rainbow, butterfly this thing, but like, I love problems. Doesn't mean I necessarily love them and they're always joyful in the moment, but I love them for what they are. Do you know what I mean? It's like what I realize is how many of us complain about our problems. And that would be like the analogy I think is like, what if a doctor was like, why do sick people keep coming here? Like, what is wrong with everybody? Right? Like, what is wrong with all these stupid people that keep coming to this clinic sick? Right? Like, what's up with this? Right? You and I would be like, dude, that's your thing. Like, that's what you do, right? If there weren't sick people, you literally wouldn't have a job, right? So like as realtors, it's like they go, oh, my buyer had credit issues or my seller's this, whatever. It's like, yeah, like you chose to work with humans that are buying, selling houses. There's going to be a moment, right? You know what I mean? Like those are the problems you chose. And if they didn't have problems, they wouldn't need us anymore, right? So when my clients call me, they go, man, I got a big issue I need help with, right? I'm going, awesome. I love that I can help you. And by the way, I get paid really well for the bigger and bigger problems I solve, the better I get rewarded, right? It's like, I love great problems. So yeah. It doesn't mean they're always easy, but I just look at them different now than I used to,
Yeah. And that real estate agent that comes across those problems also has the opportunity for the upside for, great compensation because, they're skilled at solving those problems.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yep.
What are your goals now, Wayne?
Whew, there you go. My goal is to empower people. My goal is to help people see their own greatness and give them the tools and strategies to tap into that. And I think so many people aren't living their full greatness, not because they're stupid or dumb or they lack motivation. I think a lot of times they're not tapping into their greatness because they're just not equipped. They don't know how to have great conversations, or they don't know how to lead well, or they don't know how to check themselves, right? Whatever it is, they're just ill-equipped. So my goal is to equip a million people that equip a billion, and that's what I'm after.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What's the biggest mistake you've made in your career that we haven't already talked about?
I mean, how much time do we have? Man, we get like there. That's the next book, right? Well, what not to do. Oh man, I mean,
what's one?
Like we've made a lot. Like I don't even know how many you've made, but like I just know your level of success. I know you made a lot of mistakes, right? Like it's just part of the process.
Yeah.
I think big mistakes are when I stop having fun, that's a big mistake. When I stop enjoying the process, that's a big one. But I think some of the biggest mistakes I've got is trying to be everything to everyone, take on too much and not do one thing at a time. Not take care of my money. I mean, that was a huge mistake. And then, not leverage, not realize that other people can do some of the stuff way better than I can. And it's actually a gift to them to let them do it. So.
That's great. Do you have a mentor today?
Dude, yeah, I have mentor, coaches, a bunch of different people. Yeah. So, I have several different mentors that I reach out to, like Dave Jinks is one of those mentors, and, we'll get on the phone every once in a while and he'll drop some amazing wisdom into my brain. And, I think you got to have, I'm sure you would agree with this. I think you need 3 levels of people in your life, right? Like, I think you need people that are like on the journey with you, right? So we got people that are on the journey with you. They're going through similar struggles, whatever else. And then I think you need people like that you're pulling up, right? People that you're helping rise up and you're pouring into. And then, like you just said, like mentors and coaches, like you need people that are pouring into you. And so I have several, and I mean they kick my tail often and repeatedly. So yeah.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that perception there. And thank you for being a mentor of mine as well throughout the years. So you've definitely impacted my life. So thank you for that.
I appreciate you so much, man. Thanks for the way you always showed up. You know what I mean? I think one of the things that I love about you, and I think it's another common trait of successful people, like they show up ready to go, right? They show up with questions. They show up willing to help. They show all of that stuff. And, I don't think we would ever be leaders without being great servants. I think we've shown up and we've been great servants, and you've asked great questions and you've done the work. And it's a huge testament. So,
well, let me ask you one more question before we wrap up here. So, what type of books, podcast, things that you feed your mind with, would you recommend that another take a listen to or read?
So first off, you need to read my book, which is by Wayne Salmans. Go get that one. Okay, that's probably the best one ever. No,
where can we get this, and what's the title?
Yeah, on Amazon, just Google Wayne Salmans or just search Wayne Salmans, The Art of Getting Back Up, right? Which is my journey and how I got back up and what you need to do to get back up. A couple of other ones that I've read this year that have been really powerful. The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F, that was awesome. And then Profit First was another really great book that I read this year. So The Art of Getting Back Up, Profit First, and then The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Rip.
Well, while you were speaking there, Wayne, I paid attention to the first third, and I did hear the rest of it. But on the rest of it, I was writing down the next book that I'm going to read, which is The Art of Getting Back Up.
Thank you, dude. That'd be
that's
awesome,
on the reading list. I'll let you know my thoughts on it once I'm done with it.
Buy it just for Dave Jinks. He wrote the foreword to it. Like, I'd buy the book just for his like 5 pages, which are freaking awesome. So yeah.
All right, awesome. All right, last thing, Wayne. How can somebody get in touch with you? How, I know that you have a coaching program. How could you help them? How can we find Wayne?
Dude, go to Facebook and Wayne Salmans and follow me on there, or go to theheronation.com and follow us there and check out all we're doing. So.
All right, www.theheronation.com.
That's it.
All right, awesome. Wayne, thank you again. I really appreciate you.
Dude, love you, brother. Thanks for all you do.
I love you too, man. Thank you.